The holding cell aboard the Zephyrian flagship Harmony's Edge was designed to contain the most dangerous criminals in known space. Triple reinforced durasteel walls, atmospheric dampeners, and neural suppression fields that could pacify a raging Krillian battle beast. Commander Vexhai had used it to hold warlords, assassins, and creatures that defied classification. But he had never held a human before. The creature sat motionless in the center of the cell, its pale pink skin unmarked despite the brutal capture. No visible weapons, no cybernetic enhancements, no genetic modifications that screamed predator, just soft flesh wrapped around a deceptively fragile-looking frame. When the Zephyrians had found the human ship drifting near the contested border, they'd expected an easy prisoner exchange with the Terran Federation. They had no idea what they'd actually captured. "Status report," Vexhai chittered, his forearms dancing across the control panel as he monitored the containment systems. "All systems optimal, Commander," replied his aide, Clickstar. "The Deathworlder remains docile. Neural suppressors are operating at minimal power. The creature seems naturally calm." Vexhai's compound eyes glittered with satisfaction. Humans were legendary among the galactic community, whispered about in the same breath as the extinct void hunters and the nightmare creatures of the Abyss sector. Stories claimed they came from a world so hostile that it had tried to kill them every day for millions of years, forging them into living weapons. But looking at this specimen, Vexhai wondered if the stories were just propaganda. The human, it had identified itself as Marcus Chen, civilian contractor, appeared to be sleeping. Its breathing was slow and regular, hands folded peacefully in its lap. Occasionally it would open its eyes and study the walls with what seemed like idle curiosity, before returning to its meditative state. "Sir," Clickstar's voice carried a note of concern. "I'm detecting unusual readings from the cell." "What kind of readings?" "Micro-vibrations in the durasteel, and the atmospheric processor is working harder than normal. The oxygen levels keep fluctuating." Vexhai frowned. "Run a full diagnostic." The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a second later, bathing the corridor in red warning light. Alarms began wailing throughout the ship, and Vexhai's communication panel exploded with panicked reports from across the vessel. "Engineering reports catastrophic system failures. Life support is fluctuating on decks 7 through 12. We're venting atmosphere from the starboard hull." But Vexhai's attention was fixed on the holding cell's monitor. The human was standing now, one hand pressed against the cell wall. In the crimson emergency lighting, its face was calm, almost serene. "Impossible," Clickstar whispered. "The neural suppressors are still active. The containment field is at full power. How is it?" The human spoke for the first time since its capture, its voice carrying clearly through the intercom despite the chaos around them. "You know, I tried to warn your boarding party. Told them I was carrying hazardous materials, but they just laughed." Vexhai stabbed at the communication controls. "What have you done?" "Me?" The human tilted its head, genuine confusion in its voice. "I haven't done anything. I've been sitting here the whole time just like you wanted." "Then explain the system failures." The human was quiet for a moment, seeming to consider the question seriously. "Well, you did put me in an enclosed space with recycled atmosphere, and you never asked what kind of hazardous materials I was transporting." A chill ran down Vexhai's spine. "What materials?" "Earth bacteria. Specifically, samples from deep ocean thermal vents and volcanic caves. Extremophiles that have been sitting in my ship's cargo hold for 6 months, while I traveled from research station to research station." The human's expression remained perfectly innocent. "They're harmless to me, of course. Humans evolved alongside billions of different microorganisms. Our immune systems treat them like old friends." The ship shuddered as another system failed. Through the intercom, Vexhai could hear crew members beginning to panic as familiar technologies stopped responding to their commands. "But I'm guessing," the human continued conversationally, "that your sterile ship environment isn't quite ready for Earth microbes. They're probably having a wonderful time exploring your ship's systems right about now, eating your bio-neural circuits, corroding your atmospheric filters, maybe even starting to break down the molecular bonds in your hull plating." Clickstar was frantically working at his console, but his movements were becoming increasingly erratic as more systems failed. "Commander, we're losing structural integrity on multiple decks. The biocomputers are being consumed from the inside. I don't understand how microscopic organisms could—" "Because you're not from a death world," the human said gently. You've never had to deal with life that treats everything as either food or territory. Your technology is organic, efficient, elegant. It was never designed to fight a war against creatures too small to see. The containment field flickered and died. The cell door slid open with a soft hiss. The human stepped out calmly, apparently unaffected by the chaos around him. You see, this is why you never trap a Deathworlder. It's not because we're violent, though we can be. It's not because we're strong, though we are. It's because we're walking ecosystems. Every breath we take, every surface we touch, we're spreading billions of tiny hitchhikers that have been fighting for survival since before your species discovered fire. HFY raised his sidearm with trembling hands, but the weapon's bio-neural targeting system was already dead. Don't worry, the human said, noticing the gesture. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to walk to the shuttle bay, take one of your escape pods, and head home. Your ship will probably survive eventually, though you might want to evacuate to your shuttles until the emergency biocontainment teams arrive. As Marcus Chen walked away, whistling what sounded like an ancient Terran melody, HFY finally understood why the galaxy feared Deathworlders. It wasn't their weapons or their warriors. It was the fact that even their civilians were living biological warfare systems, carrying entire worlds of microscopic allies wherever they went. The Harmony's Edge drifted powerless in space, slowly being devoured from within by organisms too tiny to see, but too numerous to fight. And somewhere in the back of his mind, HFY could hear the human's words echoing. This is why you never trap a Deathworlder.